We'll bring up the map veto, though, as all those numbers swirl about in your head, and we'll see where these two teams are going to play.
How much you want to bet that DarkZero are going to take second, Parker?
I will say that that's one of those things where the likelihood is so infinitesimally small that somebody is going to, like, if there were betting, somebody would bet like 10 G's on it and then win, and they would be a billionaire at that point, or gazillionaire, or whatever outrageous number it is. It's going to be Coastline with Luminosity starting on attack. A good fragging map and not a bad map for DarkZero either.
So yeah, it is DarkZero's most played map. They win it 50% of the time. They have lost it in recent history to Space Station 7-5, Ninjas in Pajamas, and that was a 7-4, and that's it. Those are their two losses. No, there's one more against Empire at the Invitational, and that was a 7-5 as well. So whenever DarkZero loses on this map, at the very least they go down swinging. Very rarely drop rounds on a loss. So it's also, again, it is their most played map. On the Luminosity side of things, as they were the ones who they weren't the ones who opted for this. Actually, and we should know, Luminosity, their best map is Border, and that was the last ban for DarkZero. Smart on them to push it to Coastline. Luminosity have played this once in recent history, and they beat Evil Geniuses on it 7-3. So what do you guys think? Who's going to win this match? We 80% for DarkZero, and can't say that I'm terribly surprised. I like how uniform those numbers are. I love it when you got the nice and even, and yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very nice. No 7s and 3s and having to do those together, or 7s and 4s, or 5s and 6s. None of that nonsense. Very, very clean. It looks like the teams are ready, so we should be getting in just a moment, as this will mark, once this match is completed, not just mark a finalization of the standings, unless DarkZero ends up struggling against LG, or LG wins. There's no certainty, by the way, that LG is going to lose this match. I know that we're focusing quite a lot on DarkZero finishing 7-1 or 7-0. The likelihood of that is incredibly tiny and very remote, but it has been done before, and in fact, it was done between these teams, like I said. Regardless, if you're a DZ fan, you are hoping that Luminosity does not show up to play today. Very first ban is going to be Hibana, banned by DarkZero. Very common. Completely changes the way that Kitchen is played, changes the way that Hatches are played, changes the way that Hookah is played, given the fact that both Maverick and Thermite need to be much closer to their targets when the hard breaching goes on. And joining her in Purgatory for the remainder of this match will be everybody's favorite ban, Capitao.
On the defensive side, there's a little bit more flexibility, actually, for both of these teams on this map. There's no predictability here. You can expect probably a Mira or an Echo to be banned, but then again, both of these teams have been just a slew of other operators. Valkyrie is one of the more common ones for Luminosity. She's another option. I mean, for DarkZero, it could be Echo, Mira, Maestro, Goyo, and they'll settle on an Echo, but the options here are abound, and I think that that's mostly due to Coastline as a map specifically. This is one of those types of maps that if, like a Mira's available, she's actually useful. If a Valkyrie's available, she's especially useful. But what about Echo? Oh boy, well, he is so powerful here. I mean, ACOGs in general are good for defense on this map. Lots of long angle fights. So lots of things to consider here when you're going through your ban phase. But the thing to note from this ban phase is, of course, that Mira has made it through, which is an interesting one. We see this actually a little bit on the more common side, interestingly, for this map, as Mira has been available here a number of times in recent history. So she'll be 6-picked off of into an Ella, but cool that it was an option, and it'll be faked at the very least.
As many bombs as they can. Bomb located by attackers.
We'll start off over on Kitchen, and we'll see DZ go on a likely extended roam above, as teams tend to do. LG is going to bring a very frustrating lineup to deal with. A lot of teams call this annoying, and well, it definitely is. Nomad will limit your flanking ability. Rex in on Ash is a scary thing to behold. Hyena loves playing Lion on this particular map. That's because he's freed from the shackles of hard breach duty, though he'll still be in a supporting role. Jarvis won't exactly have the best loadout as Dokkaebi, but his gadget will be extraordinarily useful for Factor, Doodle, and Rexen to be able to capitalize off of those logic bombs going out. And then that leaves just Factor on the Zofia, which is our most versatile attacker and is one that can flush out ADSs, play against magnets if there's a Wamai on the board, etc., etc., etc.
Me, or is the sound really weird? Are you not?
I cannot hear a thing.
Did they rehost the lobby after the? I hope they did.
I literally have no sound.
Yeah, I heard Marks. I'm hearing Marks and the Lion EE1D.
Yeah, I hear that as well, and that's it.
All right, well, the push in through security will be shut down by Hyper. DarkZero managing to get the early man advantage, but Hyper will get refragged by Hyena, who's on a bit of an odd rappel, one that we don't see very often. That's the security window. So sometimes bugs can carry over in the same lobby. I don't know if this one was rehosted, but we'll probably go for a rehost after this round. It's, of course, the call for the admins in production, but that is the expectation. EE1D will be used in tandem with the flashes there, and the Marks will get skies. Nice coordination there for Luminosity, and they have achieved security control, as well as a man advantage.
It's a really nice skin on Nomad's AK, by the way. I was trying to think of which one that was that I've seen before. I like all the Skinnergizing that's going on from LG here, as they'd gotten the pick that was needed on the skies, as you pointed out, and now they are at an advantage. Half of the round, and they will have to confront a Pulse next. He's not exactly a hard counter to a Lion or a Dokkaebi, but he is certainly going to be able to give you information. And if the call from Hot and Cold is being made correctly, then you know that you've got to stack up inside a main lobby from LG. Hyena is just waiting to see if, with that information in hand, Houghton is going to tell somebody to possibly play closer to garage or to bathroom door, in which case he will be taken out by Hyena. A bit of distraction as it's a backwards take over towards Service. Joining Hyena right by his side is Jarvis. He's got smoke grenades, and if they flushed out the ADS, they can go off. But we can't tell if they got caught or not. Gzmot Mine is triggered by both Factor and Jarvis as Eclipse gets a bit of HP chunked away. Houghton has made it out of the bathroom, 2 kills for him. Eclipse goes down to Jarvis, and it's an equal 2v2. In comes the Lion, but a C4 gets tossed out, and that'll be both of them. Hot and Cold, 4 kills. Goodness gracious me, well played by him. His name suggests inconsistency, hot and cold, but in that round, it was just the former. Hot, hot, hot. Round 1. For DarkZero as Luminosity are not capable of getting into the bomb site.
We'll be going for a rehost here as DarkZero put themselves up 1-0. Coming back to us, hello. That round, quite interesting in the way that it panned out. Luminosity, their attack was kind of linear, and they had a distinct focus on security, which is odd. Usually you see it, definitely, it needs to be cleared if you want to factor the main lobby into your attack, but the main lobby is typically more of a focus, and you would typically clear that out from above. So you go in on the top floor, you descend through the main stairs, and you come in through security, probably from office, but the way that security was cleared out was primarily from the window. And it's weird, but it worked out. Following that, though, the execution in through the bathroom and service entrance, I mean, that was pretty easy for DZ to shut down using just their utility. And the pulse, as you mentioned in the middle of the round, was a huge factor for DZ in gathering information on where the push was coming from, and the timing of the push as well.
Yeah, it just seemed like it wasn't exactly the greatest use of the logic bombs or of the EODs or the EE1Ds. I've seen a couple people ask, why do you call it EOD? Because it's EE1D. Literally EOD are the initials of the 3 of them, and sometimes saying
put together makes it sound E.
Yeah, sometimes saying EE1D multiple times is a little bit repetitive and boring, so we try to spice it up. But yeah, I'm a little interested. LG responded an awful lot to what we saw of DZ's roam, and DZ was roaming quite a bit over by lobby and quite a bit over by security, so it stands to reason that LG's entry would have been surrounding the parts where DZ were holding map control. And what better way to get that map control than to have your entire team take it together? And that's what we saw. they got the 2 picks, and even though they had a sizable advantage, they stalled so hard as they weren't able to get out of security, almost as if the window had been boarded back up permanently, and there was no flank route available through office or blue bar. I don't know if that falls on the shoulders of the IGLing that was going on. I don't know if that just falls on maybe poor communication. Maybe some credit needs to be given to the way that DZ was playing, even though DZ was basically just sitting in sight with their 3 remaining defenders. I have more questions than answers after that round when it comes to the way that LG tried to escape the main lobby.
Yeah, I think a lot more falls on LG for me than DZ. DZ played standard, they played smart, they played solid. And you have to commend them for their hold in the way that they decided to play that out. There was no overinvestment in the main lobby. While the attack through security in main lobby was pretty vicious from LG, it did at least take a little bit of time. And that's thanks again to DZ's efforts. But the biggest thing is when LG hits those bottlenecks, they really didn't accomplish much of anything. And it's hard to get out of a bottleneck in that situation. So to be fair to Luminosity, it's not all on them necessarily. It's more on their, I guess, the past them who set up for a main lobby service entrance execution with no kind of variation, no crossfire established. Because technically speaking, that is not a crossfire. That's a linear take. That is one execution. It's through service entrance and bathroom. They are next to each other, and there is no way that they're working together really, other than, oh, we're going for the push, which is a full frontal assault. So it didn't work out. They needed some kind of variation, maybe a player on kitchen window, player coming from Sunrise Bar, somebody in garden, opening up angles. There's options. But we've got everybody back into the lobby, and assuming all the settings are correct, as we are loading in right now, we will be getting back into the match. But of course, we have to check for that first, just to be sure.
We're probably going to see a hookah bomb site, or possibly even the double bars, depending on where they want to go. It actually looks like they've locked in the double bars, so that tends to be the rhythm of Coastline. For about a second, did we see Amira get flirted with there before it was picked off of?
Probably gonna be a 6-pick. Oh no, it's the Mozzie. All right. Well, yeah, no, we did, I think, and Mira's actually really good on the double bar. This is probably one of her better sites. Period.
I mean, who the hell thinks Guys is going to be playing Maestro on Coastline?
That's a good point. I mean, I swear I've seen him play Maestro a few times. I don't know about Coastline though.
Not sure. Not entirely sure. Skies went through an interesting transitional period where he was playing operators like Smoke quite frequently, and I think he was doing so in a couple ways on Rec, and then before then as well when he was on before Rec, it was Obey, if you go all the way back. So he was interested in playing that role, but now you've seen more of the anchors traditionally in the hands of Houghton, somewhat in Mint, or the way that Mint plays as he likes to play very close to the action and close to where the plant spots are. That's where Mint is going to be. I wouldn't be too surprised to see him there. In fact, the last couple times we saw double bars defenses from DarkZero, it was Mint playing either as a mute or even an Ella, and he was playing up by a deployable shield that was looking into Mudroom or the entrance to Sunrise Bar. It doesn't look like he's going to be in that position. I would suspect that it'll be Eclipse instead taking that role. If there's a Wamai, he's going to have likely the MP5 in hand, as that was the gun that I distinctly remember Mint using. But we can obviously go to him at some point and see if I am a fool or not.
I'm sure we'll get to him at some point. Now, the DMR going to light up Mint. He's attempting to transition. He is using the MP5, as we can tell from the sounds of it. He'll make his way back. It's for some people they use the MP5 on that operator on Wamai just because, or Whammy as some people call them, just because it doesn't take up your entire screen. And
I prefer the MP5. It is statistically worse in almost every way except for rate of fire, and it is significantly smaller on your screen.
Indeed,
I also, I mean, I don't know. I think it also has, I think it also has less recoil, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so it's got a few benefits, but the biggest thing is it just doesn't take up your whole screen, and that's really nice. Well, clearing through kitchen, or at least that's the biggest thing for me. It's working out for Luminosity. They have done more damage than they've received. I'm wondering where the Montaigne is going to be going here. There are not a lot of Montaigne counters on DZ right now. You've got two, really, in Eclipse and Houghton. Trying to get that shield, but there's just too many little layers of anti-throwable, anti-projectile set up to defend it. You can see there's even a Wamai here to assist with his discs. Jarvis will get the lead-off pick, though. There goes Eclipse. E1D is going to detonate. No one will die, though. Still a smoke in a corner, being a thorn in the side of Luminosity, but here come the stuns, and that is going to allow for the shield to be destroyed. Rexon will get it, and that's going to make the job of the smoke much more difficult. Houghton now playing with the shotgun in the corner. Hyena is also going to get Skies, meanwhile, over by the kitchen. This is working out really well for Luminosity, thanks to the Montaigne getting a lot of information. Hyper gets Factor as he attempts to cross, though, so a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel here for DZ, but not that much. As Hyper attempts to re-engage the players in the kitchen. Lion spotted out, but that's difficult to ask. Nice shot from Mint. That's Diffuser down as well, but Luminosity will clean it up. Getting the last 2 kills and round number 2.
This is just really good counter-stratting from Luminosity. Not a ton had changed in terms of the overall setup of DarkZero from what we saw of their match against Space Station. And if you go back to that matchup in particular, which I believe was on Playday 10, if memory serves me correctly, it was indeed. DarkZero on defense were only able to get a single round. It was SSG taking full advantage of DZ, and the only time DZ got a victory on defense that time was on Kitchen. Obviously, the bomb site that we just saw them excel at. Now, you can ask yourself, Space Station obviously had an idea of how to take control of all of the double bar defenses that we saw from DZ. How do you do it if you're LG? These teams do not play the same. LG and Space Station have remarkably different play styles. You know, there's a reason why one of them are world champions, and there's a reason why the other one is currently 5th in NA. You can't exactly overlay them with one another, and their operator pools may be wildly different, and their play styles are not exactly overlapping. SSG is obviously a much more patient team, I would say, than Luminosity, and Luminosity's greatest strength is how they can have various players able to play unpredictably and frag well. The change of the Montaigne is one that will assuredly frustrate DarkZero, and on that round in particular worked quite well because it drew so much attention and fire from a typically disciplined team of DarkZero. Especially so given the fact that DZ likes to run shields themselves. You have to expect that there would be some familiarity with the role and the operator that would allow DZ to counter it better, given their propensity to play shield ops. Not the case, though, on that round. LG marched in. They took complete control of Kitchen. They continued moving forward. They timed the Monty pushes with logic bombs and E1Ds remarkably well, and then they rotated the Monty out after they'd done their job of squeezing out in Kitchen, repositioning Hyena in there, moving Montaigne with supporting cast over towards the blue bar, and profiting.
See if they can establish a line of profit in this round. They've brought the same lineup. I can almost hear DarkZero talking about the operator selection here for Luminosity. I mean, Dokubi, Lion, Montaigne. That is and Zofia Ash as the supporting cast. That is such a, you know? I mean, if you look far enough back, this was a meta lineup, and it was a pain to deal with then. It's still a pain to deal with now. Luminosity trying to clear out the roamers downstairs, over by the kitchen. They're doing their best, but there's still roamers to actually get dislodged from that kitchen. Hyper will go down. Looks like that was a roam upstairs. No, actually, breaching charge working out for Factor there. good use of it. You don't usually see those above anywhere other than the bomb sites. The awareness there from Factor paying off. Good coordination between him and his team to get that information on Hyper's location relayed. Now an execution towards Aqua will be established for Luminosity.
Opening fire is going to come out now as LG manages to take out the first member of DarkZero. DZ had punished LG earlier on, but there's another trade this time as down goes Skies. Or rather, the other way around, DZ punishing LG for taking Hyper out of action. 45 seconds, and the Montaigne's position is inside of Aqua. He will once again spearhead that push forward into the bomb site. You can hear the telltale sign of the Scorpion over towards Luggage, but caught very well as the Ash of Rexon tries his best to chase down Eclipse. There's another now for Hot and Cold, seemingly just tearing through everybody. He doesn't play Maestro, he says. Well, he's doing a good job of playing as him right now. Eclipse will finish off Doodle, leaving LG in a rougher spot. The Diffuser as well is miles away from Jarvis, nowhere able to reach it, so they'll just have to go for kills. Landing shots on Eclipse. This is a former member of DZ, but Hot and Cold picks up his second after getting an assist earlier. Lots of shots being wrung out from the Lion, but Hyena is unsuccessful in his attempt to stop any member of DarkZero. DZ ends up winning that one on just an utter shootout in the final 30 seconds, and they will regain the lead.
Really interesting round from DZ, to be honest. Once they detected that it was an Aqua take, it's like they reestablished the pressure and never relented. Kind of weird, to be honest with you guys. Most teams will try to play that off of the bar itself. Instead of getting aggressive into Aqua and Luggage and trying to regain that control constantly, as DZ did, most teams will just wait by the bar, chill out. Be like, oh yeah, we'll let them set up and we'll wait for the execution to come. But DZ never let LG set up. Possibly that has something to do with the Montaigne and the Dokkaebi Lion strat. Because if you think about how Dokkaebi Lion Montaigne works, and why that combination is so potent, it's because if you detonate a Dokkaebi and a Lion charge as you're pushing in for, like, let's say a plant or just to get a player picked off, if you do that all in unison, it's really hard for the defender to fight back. But if defenders are fighting back preemptively before you can actually get the setup down, before you can get ready for your execution, then, well, I mean, players are going to die. You'll be caught off guard, and it'll be a much more awkward engagement for you as an attacking team. So that's my guess. DZ were just reading into the setup there, reading into the lineup from LG, saying we're just not going to give him the chance.
5 seconds to insertion.
The fact is that we see much stronger teamwork coming in from DarkZero, especially on how they're trading. Whether that's on the shoulders of LG or not, you can't really exactly say. I will put it this way, that there's been a lot less sense of, how do you want to put this? Oh my. Hold on
right,
one
then.
second here. Sorry. That's an exclamation mark on any sentence. Usually as Hot and Cold swings on the doorway and takes out the Buck who was looking to enter from Sunrise Bar, and already LG finds themselves down one as DarkZero will look to stretch this lead that they just regained at the end of the last round. I was going to say the teamwork that we see from LG, not quite as strong as it needs to be. And rather the just simple wherewithal of DZ's positioning. You saw Rexon getting chased, and then you saw yet another member of DarkZero being able to capitalize off that. Hot and Cold. Now it's Skies. He's going to return the favor of the Montaigne being played as the clash inside of security. He's getting chased down from the play on the window. Trying to get droned out, you encounter a Mozzie Pest. Challenging spot to be in, and I'm sure one that's causing quite a great deal of heartburn for Luminosity here, as Skies is just unshaken in his spot.
Luminosity has to be careful. Most of them are in their early 20s. Countering heartburn at this age is a risk. There goes the clash. Nice use of the Sophia stun. Hyena with the coordination. Rexon gets hyper as he attempted to vault out from Aqua. And now Luminosity find themselves in a one-man advantage. Only half the round to make this work.
This is the same exact numbers that we saw on the previous kitchen take for Luminosity. And as you remember, it was a big 4K from Hot and Cold that kept the team in it. and it was largely him against the entire world. He's going to be calling and still sitting on that cardiac sensor. His position is not the same. He's a little closer to the window. Eclipse capitalizes on obviously some call, and he takes out Jarvis. Back to a 3v3, more winnable than it was in the dying stretch of the previous take from Luminosity on this same bomb site. And without having the logic bombs, you find yourself with a little bit less annoyance, and especially a very crucial tool to find the location of the remaining members. There goes a toxic canister from Mint. Some soft destruction done in a pre-fire from Doodle, but you can see nobody from DZ takes a single point of damage. Playing behind that deployable shield, it's exactly where Mint is going to be stationed. He's still got another toxic canister, and very adeptly moving to the side as he hears the Ash charge below the shield wide open. There goes his piece of security. Toxic canister tossed in the corner, 18 seconds left, and it goes off. That means most of the remainder of the round will be LG funneling in through and to their doom. If they're not fast enough, how do you land that shot? Mint with 2 and almost a third. My God! Incredible play from DarkZero, but Mint in particular, some absolutely inhuman shots. And it's a greater lead of 3-1 for DZ.
I would like the record to show that I firmly believe Mint downed the Zofia there. The only reason it did not count, the only reason it did not count as his kill was because it's Zofia, and she has this weird ability to revive herself from being downed, unlike every other operator in the game. So I am going to call that a technical 3K there for Mint, and a great job at delaying the round. The read on the player coming from the service entrance door was beautiful, and a nice shot from him to act on that read. The execution from Luminosity, great job at clearing out the roamers. A little bit of over-aggression on the side of DZ when it comes to those roamers. The vault out from the Jaeger was ill-advised, and it was caught easily. Following that roam clear, though, Luminosity really didn't have much going for them on the site execution. They missed a couple of key opportunities to get some kills on the Pulse, who was playing close by the kitchen door, and the player who was playing close by the kitchen window was the Mozzie. And after those opportunities were missed, DZ had successfully solidified their position deep in the site, in no exposed spots to the push from Luminosity. And then once again, Luminosity, a very one-dimensional execution onto the bomb site. I don't think I've seen anything too complicated. No, that's not true. One round, we have seen one round where Luminosity get a little bit interesting with their attack. It was actually the one round that they managed to win. It was the attack onto the Sunrise bar. Why did they win it? Well, they came from 2 different angles. They pushed in from kitchen and from Sunrise. They did not lock themselves into a one-dimensional take. And because of that, they had crossfires, and because of the crossfires, they got the round. And I think that it's a really predictable result with what we've been seeing right now, and Luminosity need to pick up on that.
What do you do if you're Luminosity to be able to just shake DarkZero off of this play right now? This is more of the DarkZero that we were used to seeing in the first split rather than the second. The second has been still plenty of playmaking from this team, but far less teeth than I think you would come to expect. Regardless, not exactly sure. We can speculate later as we continue to head on in. 2 more rounds for DarkZero to defend, and they'll start this one with a clash play, but it's going to be Mint on the shield. Skies roaming above was spotted out. It's a double bars defense, but unsurprisingly, DZ will invest quite heavily in kitchen. Now, the last time that Luminosity attacked this bomb site, they took kitchen quite quickly, and they did so with a Monte, and I'm surprised that they have opted out of running Monte because of how much success they had previously.
When you were talking about?
The last time that that Luminosity attacked this bomb site, they brought the Monte.
No, I'm talking about the skin on the AK.
Oh, yeah.
I'd never seen that one before.
Neither have I.
It's a really cool looking skin. I'm sure it's probably like an alpha pack one.
It kind of looks like the dinosaur skin that the UMP gets.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely cool though. I want to get that for sure.
I wish we knew Ubisoft. I wish we knew what were in alpha packs.
There should be a catalog somewhere, like a depository. Here's all the skins, and here's what you can get. Anyway, 1 minute left for Luminosity. They have yet to get a pick, but they have got a lot of pressure onto the site from this top 4 control, and that's definitely going to be important to keep an eye on for DZ. really just a wait out, though. I mean, LG have set up, again, a very crossfire heavy attack so far. And as long as they can maintain that when it comes to the execution, they might have a chance here. But as the gas canisters start to come out, they'll be heavily delaying this round and this attack.
That's going to be really tough for them. There's not been a single duel yet, with the exception of a couple people firing bullets fruitlessly into the shield of Mint. As I say that, though, Factor proves me wrong. Goodbye Hot and Cold, and goodbye Rexon. Both these teams back now at even strength. Eclipse gets Factor as he vaults in through the window to his death. The clash will distract the Nomad inside of double bars. Calls being made. A phantom angle being held from Eclipse. Hyper inside a lobby. He'll collapse on one. Doodle's there, but he's not able to do too much after he finally shuts down Mint. But the diffuser needs to be planted. And it is. It's Hyper in a 1v2, spraying into a common spot. He's not able to get Doodle, can he? No. Diffuser goes down. Hyena on low HP. But the position of Hyper inside of this courtyard garden has already been given away. He doesn't know where either of those defenders are. He still has plenty of bullets to go. Tons of magazines in reserve, over 130 to just try and open up as many sites as possible. But he had heralded his own demise with all of those shots giving himself away. Doodle sitting largely in the same spot that he planted that diffuser. Goodbye to Hyper. It was actually the Lion that traded. I think it was the Lion that traded. It was Hyena.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Because if you get the trade, then for whatever reason, you don't watch either of the people who get the trade. You watch whoever's alive.
At least we're not watch. At least we don't have to watch King George.
What? It's just a moment to burn on King George. Is every moment a moment to burn on King George for you?
Yes, I can basically find an opportunity to make fun of King George at every chance.
Okay. All right, Parker. Well, solid round there from Luminosity. Again, the key to that is that they were able to establish crossfires, and that's when the execution came in. They were attacking from multiple angles, and that's harder for DZ to address and adapt to. And, well, props to Luminosity for the setup. It worked out great for them. Another thing is Hyper. Hyper was way too far off the bomb site, and he took far too long to make his way back to the bomb site. That ended up costing DZ as well, as they needed the extra guns on site for the team fight that ensued. Of course, Hyper did some work over by the main lobby, but, well, in the end, that did not actually affect the outcome of the round. Now, DZ going to Billiards for their final defense. It is worth noting that Coastline is actually, I believe, attacker-sided these days. I haven't looked at the stats in a while. But it's up there on the attack side when it comes to siege maps. Some maps are not very friendly to attackers. So a 3-3 here would be probably pretty good for... Well, I mean, it's very winnable for either team. Even a 4-2 would still be winnable for Luminosity, though, I'd say. A lot of what side is favored on maps often comes less down to the map and more down to the teams and how they play on that map.
Final defense from DarkZero, very close to even for Luminosity, and I think we are now officially past the point of no return. 2 rounds from Luminosity means that the round differential at the moment would be, let me pull up this math here. Funny enough, we have conflicting numbers from Liquipedia and from our production team, so let's just go off the production 27, yeah. It's 26 according to Liquipedia right now. DarkZero are only a +1, and they can only finish with a +5, which would put them at 19. Now, if the numbers are correct on Liquipedia, then we can still have a draw, as the worst that Space Station could get to would be +19 as well. But if the numbers are true of our production team, which is 27, then it's over. It's done with, because a 7-0 from TSM would still put SSG at a +20, which is at this point impossible for DarkZero. So we'll await full confirmation as to how many rounds are won. One thing is certain is that regardless, if Luminosity win one more round in this matchup, that's it, that's done. Space Station finishes 2nd overall, and they can go into their matchup against TSM, not worried about looking behind, but instead just only looking forward, as there's still some stakes for them.
Getting ready for the execution here from Luminosity. They got a minute left. They really don't need to rush themselves. They should be careful not to jump the gun here. Lots of information being gathered here. Three fires coming out. Doodle not going to finish anybody off on that angle. Guy's prepping his gas canisters to deny a default plant. Another EE1D. Phone calls ringing off, and this stalemate will continue for both of these teams, unable to actually establish enough control to go for the plant. Eclipse will get Hyena downstairs to Sunrise. Here comes the default plant, the gas canister to deny it through the wall. Doodle will have to wait, and he's not got much time to do that any longer. One more gas canister, and that could be the final nail in the coffin here for Luminosity. Here it comes. Doodle pushed off once again. He'll almost die to that one. Jarvis trying to push VIP Hall, but nothing's going to come of it. So it's going to have to be a collapse from Luminosity if they want to have any chance. Factor gets one. Hot and holding VIP. Push into default. It's plant going down. Here is the stick, but Hyper stops it with an impact. And there you go. DZ will take the round. The 000 working heavily against the attack in that round.
LG came so close to being able to do that, and if we saw a greater HP from Doodle, then I think they would have been able to pull it off, because those impacts, while doing a deceptive amount of damage, are not enough to kill somebody outright unless you throw both of them. I didn't see, of course, how many Hyper tossed out, but you saw the upside down rappel that was held on Big Window. Where DarkZero were emerging from to stop that default plant meant that they were going to need to swing through hookah, through the double doors leading to the hallway, or from cocktail upstairs or up top. The upside down rappel from Luminosity was placed in such a way that you can watch both of those angles, and there's no way that an attacker is going to miss most of those shots at this level. That makes it very challenging for the defense to hit what is a tiny fraction of a head that is visible, and you could see it for but just a second when Skies emerged from cocktail and he tried to vault over the shield to swing towards the default plant. You could see just a tiny bit of the top of the head of whichever attacker it was that was on the window at that point. LG had the setup and knew that it was going to come down to the final 20 seconds. And when that brawl happened in front of our very eyes, as chaotic as it was, LG was actually coming out on top. They had the entire kill feed and had shut down 2 of the defenders from DZ. The problem was that they weren't expecting yet a third. And I don't know where the impact grenades came from of Hyper. I didn't exactly have a good enough vantage point to see. But unlucky for them, well, they had just didn't know where Hyper was either. And speaking of, it's not Hyper, but Skies. They know exactly where he is. Rather, Rexon does. That's the opening pick. LG on a spawn peak to set themselves up a man already with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in the very first defense for LG.
So DZ now fighting from a man disadvantage. They'll be joining out to try and clear out the top floor. They've brought a Jackal to assist them in this endeavor. Cam spot to control blue stairs. Doesn't seem to be very many roamers for Luminosity upstairs right now. Well, it's hard to tell. Nope. It's like 2 maybe. Over by Projector and the top of main lobby stairs. Mint will be tasked with dealing with that, of course. Cotton's going to try and clear in from Hookah. Come at this from multiple angles. Skies is dead, yes, but he is at least going to be on drones for the round, so he'll be able to call out quite a lot for his team. They've got good pre-placed drones to gather information. Luminosity's still holding onto that top floor. Over by Projector. This Mozzie Pest and many others like it will be assisting in this top floor hold, of course. Hyena trying to assist his teammate inside a Projector by holding onto the main lobby staircase. He knows he can't be droned out in this position, so he just needs to make sure his head doesn't pop up too high so that it can be spotted from luggage.
I'm curious to know who from DarkZero is taking up the mantle to play inside of VIP, because that's where Buck would go. No Buck available. Instead, you're going to probably position Jackal over there. Anyway, Mint on the Jackal. Where is he going to go? That's the question. He's got 2 smokes available too, and that little bit of soft destruction. The Doc had been spotted of Hyena on main stairs, but nobody from DarkZero was able to do much with it. Mint attempts the plant. He falls off. He's waiting on the lion call right now. Does LG know that this plant was going down in front of the very eyes? No. Mint got in, started to defuse, and then immediately got out. All right. 35 seconds to go. DarkZero's fake worked well. I don't know if that baited a smoke from Factor or not. Life is slowly ticking away from Hyena, who had stimmed himself twice. Another attempt for Mint, but this time too much damage done. And obviously you'll hear Jackal choking on that smoke, so you know that he's in place. Waiting very patiently. This is the calm before the storm for these teams. And DZ are well purposed to be able to shut down anybody from LG who tries to swing to stop this defuse from going down. There's a kill from Hyper onto Doodle. Now creeping up ever so slightly is Eclipse. He's got the courtyard rotate. From above, a C4 gets tossed out. Down it goes. So much patience, too much patience. And with that C4, say hello to, at worst, second place. DarkZero no longer able to make it into second. They will sit in third as the third round from LG seals the fate of DZ in the standings.
Regardless of which stats are correct, now we know it's done and dusted, as you like to say. Luminosity putting up a heck of a fight here. The utility usage, the smoke, the C4, 10 out of 10 there. I have to call into question Mint in that last round, because I think he might have been able to plant in the first attempt. He faked it out, then got off, but I didn't hear a gas canister detonate. I'm not really sure why he got off. Maybe I just didn't see it. Maybe I'm the blind one. But Luminosity rotated. They set up to deny it after they realized it was happening. And DarkZero was unable to make it happen on their second, third, or fourth attempt. So great job to Luminosity juggling their utility well there. They'll go to Double Bar, a site that DZ was mostly entirely unsuccessful on. It was actually DarkZero's worst bomb site by far. We'll see what DarkZero can do on attacking for this bomb site. Luminosity bringing a good array of C4, the mirror window, Evil Eyes, Pulse, lots of information here.
5 seconds left.
When you've got a Valkyrie ban, you've got to substitute other things in. And these tools are all really powerful ones on this map.
I was wondering if we were going to see another spawn peak come out. Speaking of, that completely derails most of your takes into VIP. I talked about it very briefly, is you need lots of soft destruction in order to push the defenders back out of kitchen and possibly even out of bathroom. And there's no better operator in the lineup that DZ is bringing to do so than the Buck. Now, I mean, if you had a second operator as such a sledge, that could work. Or if there were possibly breaches in the hands of Hot and Cold, that could also work potentially. You could even have Jackal do it, but the ITA is secondary shotgun. Doesn't really allow him to do that at the same speed or with the same vigor that you'd see out of a Buck. So he's kind of a poor man's Buck when it comes to that soft destruction. Skies is able to live a little bit longer than before, though, as we're a minute in and nobody losing their lives or their hats from DarkZero to a spawn peak. But you can see a lot of patience is being used as the entry trying to bait out one of the defenders. Nobody from LG is moving a muscle. They had excelled in the previous round by just standing pat, and they're going to do so yet again. But a very important factor for them, down below, there goes a C4. Hyper, removed from action. One of the best players on DarkZero, one of the best players in North America, and you're not going to have him to be able to pull this off as LG looks to close the gap and tie the game up.
2 of the 3 C4s expended to get that kill, though. They were both chasing the Buck, actually. But they managed to net the Ash. Kill's a kill.
Attackers have located
And as you said, Hyper, definitely somebody you want off the board if you're fighting against him. Top 4 control established, though, for DZ, so at least there's that. You can use it for something. Their Buck's still alive. There's the last C4 used on up, and Luminosity getting 2 for 3. That's a solid result. Now, there is a Buck opening from above, and he's going to do some massive work. Getting that mirror window alone is huge, even if there was no kills that come out here. Otten will get Hyena. Nade does no damage to Jarvis playing in the hallway, and the second nade will do no damage to Jarvis standing in the hallway. DarkZero now looking to execute in through exit. We got a nice long angle opened up by Hot and Cold, and he'll get rid of one of the Evil Eyes before this execute comes out.
30 seconds left to go, and they are lined up, but still a challenging spot from DarkZero now is more gunfire going in over the head of Hot and Cold in pursuit of the Pulse, but his line of sight now cut off, and his legs also cut off from Rexon gunning him down. Skies with the trade, but still the advantage in favor of LG. Nobody covering Mint. Nobody can get to that position. There's the Mozzie of Rexon. It's going to be him in a shootout against Mint with Doodle as a supporting cast member, and Rexon gets it. Mint unable to get out of there, and he'll allow Doodle the honors. This win for DarkZero, a must if they wanted to finish atop the NA standings, is now gone. And it's all tied up. 4-4. Plenty of time for Luminosity, and they make no mistake about it. They'll get the disable of that diffuser.
Purposes are still client-sided if you're a little bit confused. So he was shooting at the face of the Jackal, I must assume. Nice round there from Luminosity to lock that up and, as you said, bring it to a draw. The execution there from DZ was almost good enough to take that round, actually. A few hiccups here and there, and it wasn't. So Double Bar, clearly a favored site, whether on attack or defense for Luminosity. That's for sure. It'll be hookah billiards for the next attempt here. DZ are going to have to do a little bit better when attacking onto that bomb site. Luminosity have really been going toe-to-toe here with DarkZero. I think that's the main story that we have to take away from this match right now. This has not necessarily been a map thing or a sided or certain side being favored thing. It's more Luminosity playing well. DarkZero not playing terribly. Luminosity playing well, though.
Luminosity playing, I think, better than we expect of them. I mean, this is a frag-heavy map. We know that they play well on frag-heavy maps. We know they can play well when their gunners come alive. And, you know, I mean, we are seeing a very rare, extremely defender-sided Coastline right now. Only 2 attacking round victories is not the norm, not even close to the norm. So these teams are just working much better with what they're bringing and the way that they're playing. And LG isn't even necessarily bringing a lineup that is really gadget heavy. They're just bringing really strong guns and playing around that. I say that despite the fact there's obviously lots of gun potential that's being brought, or utility rather being brought from LG. It's not just all guns, but I think that they're picking operators that frag well, and I think that that works to the strengths of Luminosity.
Hot and feeling pressure after just opening up the window. Skies somewhere else will get a kill. Rexon goes down as Luminosity get a little bit too aggressive. Still more peeking on the billiards window from the smoke. That was a huge risk from Factor, and it could have actually been an unmitigated failure, but he managed to fall back before he was punished. A little bit of that falls on DZ's shoulders, but then again, giving the opportunity in the first place must have been confusing for DarkZero. Ooh, a good mark there. And you can see that Houghton was thinking about holding the window, but now he's going to focus on cutting off the rotation. If he can deny that player rotating out of Sunrise Bar, that's Jarvis, then at least he can do some work that way. Hyper's also there to assist in this, and you can see DZ are going to collapse onto Hyper and kill him before doing anything else. Another E1D. Nothing coming of it, though. Minor rotation, good assistance here from DZ to try and gather information on this Roamer and Sunrise, but they need to make the collapse happen. Clips is going to go down to Doodle as he attempts to clear out the player in Sunrise Bar, but there goes Doodle getting downed. Factor runs out on Houghton, though. A vault out from the billiards window, but it is shut down by Mint.
That was huge because Doodle was dead. Absolutely dead in the water. Houghton was prepping the explosive from his lifeline, and he couldn't be able to take the Wamai out. And now he's given a little bit extra life, a lease on life from Hyena. Doesn't matter, though. His days on Earth are numbered. Down he goes, and another will be added to the trophy room of DarkZero. It's Jarvis this time, former member of DZ. He'll be going dark. And if Hyena's not able to do something real big here, all of Luminosity will be going dark. There you go. They had squandered the lead, but they get it back. DZ 5-4 over LG so far.
All right. So that round in its entirety happened on the bottom floor. Not a single kill on the top floor. We did see one kill on 1.5, but that's not the second floor, so it doesn't count. Weird round that. The roam clear from DZ was heavily invested into, and rightfully so, because if it had any less investment, it would have been a successful round from Luminosity, who also came to play on that roam. And that's the strange part. I'm sure what DarkZero expected there was a pretty easy clear of the bottom floor, and follow with a transition up to the top floor with a man advantage and then execute onto the site. Had it come to that, it might have actually been a good round for Luminosity, because they've been doing really well at that. But because Luminosity invested so much downstairs, they really came to try and contest the overall roam. A little bit odd. Again, could have worked out, didn't. But yeah, just a weird one. We'll go to kitchen for the next defense here for Luminosity. I'll see how they can make this setup work for them. If they can make this setup work for them. Again, DarkZero bringing the Jackal in a bid to clear out the roamers as quickly as possible. And a Nomad to try and lock up the top floor or wherever they decide to clear roamers as thoroughly as possible. Doodle trying to get aggressive, as Luminosity have been doing every round on defense.
Defender is approaching.
I've been really impressed with Luminosity. Even some of those rounds that they've struggled on, they've been decently close rounds. There've only been a couple where I look back on these 9 rounds that have been played and kind of, realize, oh, LG weren't in it until the very end. And DarkZero have obviously got some things that they want to try to focus on after this matchup is all said and done. We know that they can't finish worse than third, so that's still a great result, but necessarily isn't where they wanted to be, and where honestly I would have thought they would have been after that first split. Anyway, this is just a map that they, like we said, they love to play it. It's their most played map, but they only win it 50% of the time, and I guess the pendulum has swung back the other way in this instance.
Aussie Pests making droning very difficult. DarkZero gonna have to do something else to gather that information. Aussie must have been spotted out on 90. Low push here, though. DarkZero have a lot of work to do in order to clear out this top floor before they can actually start pushing onto the site. Buck in a great position, though. It seems like DarkZero doesn't want to fully clear out the top floor. It seems they're just more keen to get control of VIP and work off of that. And I suppose, agree with that, as it's worked for them in some regard in the past, in terms of the actual hold. And there's so much to deal with when you clear out Projector. Lots of layers to work on. So DZ will just say, nah, we don't need to worry about that. We'll take the control we need, and we'll go for the plant. Here's the attempt from Mint. Gas canister to stop it. Another attempt for... Well, he's going to hold the angle. Probably smart, but he'll lose the fight to Factor, who just comes out on top, barely.
That looks like another down as well. It's on to Factor, so nobody from DarkZero is in harm's way. Oh, get obliterated, Doodle. Skies just levels him as he peeks on up, and not exactly the swing that you want. Waiting for a greater shot is Hot and Cold to seize the opportunity presented by Jarvis as Rexon goes down as well, and DarkZero have control of this round, and with it, they will very likely get match point. In sprints Hyper, lots of damage done, but great sustain from the Doc. He's not going to be able to do too much to Skies. He picks up his second skeleton key kill. You don't usually see one in a round, let alone two. But there it is. Match point for Skies. Match point for the rest of his team. DarkZero pick up 1 point so far.
Well, execution there. Pretty solid overall. And yeah, pretty close to those 3 points. The biggest thing is that the skirmish that went up on the top floor worked out really well for DZ. And while the attempted plant into the window did not work out for DarkZero, they didn't linger on it. That's the biggest thing. They weren't fixated on their plant attempt. They weren't all focused on, oh, hey, we have to make this work. They made something else work for them. And that's a solid adaptation for DarkZero. Got to be impressed by that. And Luminosity now suffering as a result. They'll go to their most successful bomb site, whether on attack or defense. Tally it all together, LG really likes this bomb site. And we could see this go all the way to the final round. I think it's likely based on LG's record here. I think DZ has a problem with the angles on Sunrise. Something that they're not comfortable with in some way or another. Definitely a sore spot for them on Coastline so far.
10 seconds to go.
It's everything on the line here for DarkZero. For Luminosity, they wanted to at least get 1 point because, as you noted before we got into this matchup, there is still a potential that LG fall down the standings. They can't finish worse than 6th, which means that they make the same amount of money regardless. The loss from E United means that LG's cushion is 6th place. That's their floor. Their ceiling is 5th. I believe it's 12 grand regardless. So you don't really need to be too concerned with it. But obviously, no team is going to play with the intention of saying, we lose, so what, whatever. It's not the end of the world. Tempo Storm will play against Reciprocity tonight in the very final match of our Playday and the very final match of the season for North America. And we'll wait to see if they're able to get a single point or more, and then it'll just come down to a tiebreak between this team and LG or a victory to get them above it. For DarkZero, the loss came earlier on when they allowed Luminosity to take 4 rounds. So Space Station will sit in 2nd place at worst once again.
Long angle play here from DZ. Mozzie spotted out. Well, that's not great. I would have expected Mozzie to have a pest on that door behind him, but not so. This is an easy pre-fire for Hyper. A rotation called perfectly for Luminosity. Must have been some kind of information there. And Rexon will fall back. C4 ripped. And nothing comes of it. DarkZero, now with top floor control, will be able to do some work. Reminder, this is a Sunrise defense to make sure they clear out the appropriate part of the top floor. It's fully established, though, and air jabs will solidify that control. Guys will make it worthwhile by opening up from above. Gotta be careful of his ammo consumption on the skeleton key, of course. There goes the mirror window. You can see he's being careful not to expose himself to potential C4s. He's got to be very mobile in order to not die from below. We've seen how good LG are with their C4s, but there go 2 players for LG. DZ establishing a 2-man advantage, and that should solidify the round. That should get the match in favor of DZ. That's a full flash on the Doodle, and there goes Hyena elsewhere. It's all on Jarvis and Doodle now. The 2v5. 50 seconds left for DarkZero to win this out.
Some fire back from Doodle. Jarvis will shrug off a grenade and not do enough on the main stairs. He doesn't get swung on, and it's a flawless round from DarkZero. It was over before it even really started on that particular round. 7-4, a victory for DZ, but in the greater aspect, it's a loss. Of course, it would have only been half the battle, as the other battle would have been TSM, of course, defeating SSG by a 7-0 score or even a 7-1. Doesn't really matter. DarkZero didn't have the best second half, but they were able to salvage most of it towards the end, and, well, they pick up 3 points, and they'll finish. 29 overall in 3rd place.
That's not bad. You know, it's definitely, it's not terrible. It's obviously not an ideal result for DarkZero, a team who I think, at the beginning of the season and for a large portion of the season, well, not necessarily we're competing for first, because actually, technically, I went over this a while back. Technically speaking, TSM have been in first for every single Playday of this season. They've never not been in first for the season, as weird as that is. So yeah, and I'd say that DarkZero were competing for second throughout, and they just, at the end, couldn't make it happen. So there it is. Now, speaking of first, though, that next match is going to be incredibly exciting. We aren't quite to it yet, but seeing which team is going to manage to get first between TSM and SSG is going to be definitely a barn burner, as they like to say.
We will all be watching that one with great excitement, but this one, honestly, a lot of people knock Coastline for the style of play that comes out, and it's hectic. It's often really quick. You can miss a lot of it because everybody tends to die very, very suddenly. And, well, I gotta say, this was an enjoyable match to watch. DarkZero looked like they'd made some significant changes, and they matched up much better against Luminosity. I will say on attack, I'm a little puzzled as to why LG dropped the Montaigne as soon as they did, as it was having some success. I mean, it didn't really work for Hookah, but it seemed to be causing a greater amount of harm to DarkZero's defenses. That's something that we can ask them when the interview is ready. But on deep, on attack, DarkZero really turned things around, and it took 2 rounds for them to do so after they were a little too patient. They were the victim of that spawn peak as well. But the one knock I've made about DarkZero in the second half is that they've kind of struggled to close out games, and they've kind of struggled as they've racked up a lead. They haven't really been able to do too much with it in terms of getting points on the board after that. And it's why that we've seen such tight matches with them, and why they haven't exactly been able to keep pace with TSM, as you noted. But yeah, exciting to watch. Good showing from both of these teams, and I'm interested to see, because DarkZero is always a team that likes to make changes here and there, tinker with the roles, tinker with their strats, etc. I'm excited to see what comes of this squad over the next couple months.
Obviously, development on the side of DarkZero, yeah, it's always going to be progress, but we've got an interview ready with Houghton, so we'll jump on over to that.
One of the most beautiful men in our esport, who is now in a room that had a light installed from the previous interview. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Parker. How are you?
I'm doing very well. My first question for you is going to be that Montaigne that came out from LG. Do you think they stopped running it after that 3rd round because of the way that you were countering it? And if so, what changed about your setup to counter it? Or do you think that there was something greater at play behind their strategy to move off of the Montaigne on their attacks?
I definitely think us countering it made them get off the Montaigne. I don't know what made them bring it in the first place. I think they just kind of got desperate after, not being able to close out some rounds. But yeah, I think we countered it pretty well, and they felt like it wasn't needed anymore.
Well, then let's turn our sights to what happened, just in a broad sense, when you went on to attack. You had a little bit of a rough 2 first rounds, especially the one where Skies got spawn peaked. And when he did, how much did that affect your ability to pull off and execute without your buck available for that round?
Obviously, it hurt it a little bit, but I don't really think that caused us to lose a round. I think we just kind of stalled out without the buck, so I think that's what caused us to lose the round. We had to wait out all the smokes and then eventually got C4'd, so.
Yeah, I noticed your play from above. Was that a deliberate call in hopes of LG moving too soon and being able to punish them? Because with the exception of I believe it was Mint on Jackal jumping in and out repeatedly, it seemed like the rest of you were just simply holding the line and just waiting and not moving yourselves.
Yeah, it's a strat designed to basically get plant down without a lot of map control, and they were playing top very heavy with Jaeger and Wamai, so we kind of designed to go around that stuff and just try and get the plant down. Obviously it didn't work in the end, but I think we ended up doing it another round and it worked.
I was going to ask, what changed after your first 2 takes were not successful? You forfeited the opening kill in both those rounds, obviously one of them being a spawn peak, so that's always not sustainable for a defending team, but you forfeit the opening picks. You have issues being able to take map control. That one round you just said wasn't designed to have much map control. What did you tweak to then dominate the final 3 rounds, ending your series off here with a flawless in round number 11?
I don't know if we really changed anything. I think it just kind of clicked in all our brains, like, tighten up. They're playing very loose. They're jumping out of windows. Smoke jumped out big window on me one round. I don't know what that was, but yeah, they're playing super aggressive, so we just tightened up, got better drones, and I think that led into, us winning a couple rounds.
Now, the season is over. You finish 3rd place. You're unable to catch SSG based on tiebreak or round differential. I'm going to offer up as the last question just your overall thoughts on what your team has accomplished this season and your thoughts as a player and the development of your squad since you made some roster moves, obviously, and we're still settling in with Eclipse and Skies in the roster after Tokonami.
Obviously, 3rd place isn't acceptable to any of us, and I think, outside of that, we've used the season to get better as a team, get closer as a team, and I think that'll carry through, onto the next seasons whenever they are. I think, yeah, we'll be looking a lot better, coming in next season.
Very well said. You get the final word now to say anything to your fans, the sponsors, etc., anybody watching at home. What would you like to say?
New DZ merch coming soon. It's gonna be looking good. Parker, we got to get you some.
Appreciated. I'll be keeping my eyes on the courier box. So, always appreciated talking to you, Mr. Hot and Cold. Thank you very much for the interview, and best of luck next season.
Thank you. Later, Parker.